Okay, hello everyone. It's Shooting Game Weekly, episode 153, and today we're taking a look at Touhou Shinreibyou. It's the 13th game in the series. It's 10 Desires. So we're going to be doing another Touhou episode, which is awesome. And I'm going to be joined by a couple guests. One will be here for now, and that is Maribel Hearn.
Hi everyone.
So yes, welcome to the show, and you're gonna be you're a high score player of this game, and you're gonna be talking about the mechanics of the game and explaining that first of all, before we even get into some of the replays we'll be watching, which are gonna be pretty much world record tier scoring runs from 3 different players. We'll be watching 3 different replays of Normal mode and Lunatic mode and Extra mode, and once Extra mode comes around, we're gonna get Morth, the world record holder of Extra mode, in the Discord channel, and he's gonna talk with us about that and tell us some awesome stuff about that. So just want to say right now, I am actually new to this game, so I'll be trying my best to follow along, but if anyone else has questions in the chat as we go along and learn about the game, please feel free to throw those in, and I can relay those to Maribel here, and we'll do our best to make this as transparent as possible and show you why this game is awesome. So yeah, we're gonna jump right in. I don't have too much else to say about the game, just besides that it's the 13th one. I don't know too much else about it, but I'm sure we'll get a feel for it as we go in. So I'm going to bring us to the replay card here. And
so we're going to use the normal run to explain the mechanics. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's alright.
Okay, shall we start it at the same time?
Yes. Is it okay if I if we hit
okay,
the play replay
I will
again?
hit the restart at the same time.
Play replay again works off the pause menu.
Okay, do we count down?
Okay, yeah. So the countdown will be. I didn't go over it with you before, but it's on go off 3, 2, 1. So it'd be 3, 2, 1, go. Just so. All right. So we're gonna get into the mechanics here and check it out. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yep. Alright, so in this game, your main objective is to collect spirits that show up when you kill enemies. And they come in a few different variants. The first is the blue one, which gives you 10 extra point item value, or PIV for short. So basically these things will increase your score by a lot as you collect them throughout the game. The gray ones, they function as items, so the score that they give is equal to the regular score items. And besides that, we also have pink and green spirits that will add to your life and bomb counts. So one pink spirit will give you 1/8 of a life, and the same for the green spirits with bombs.
Okay, I see the spirits. They're kind of like slightly larger little entities there, huh? Okay, gotcha.
Yep, and they remain on the screen for about 10 seconds before they slowly dissipate. Like, they become smaller over time, as you can see happening with the top ones right now. And while as you collect spirits, you have this gauge in the bottom left that gets called the spirit gauge or the trance gauge. There are several names you could give to it, and it fills up as you collect spirits. And while the gray spirits fill them to a larger degree than the blue spirits do. And when this gauge gets full, you can press C to do a trance, which the player is also doing right now. So a trance is a kind of hyper during which you are invincible and deal high damage for about 10 seconds. And while you're in trance state, each spirit will become more powerful as well, although the grey ones are not affected. When you're trancing, the blue ones will give you plus 100 point item value instead of plus 10. So that's a huge difference right there.
Okay. So you're building up that spirit and whatnot.
What happens in score runs is that they will try to get the gauge full and trance as often as they can to get that high point item value out of it.
Okay, gotcha. Then rinse and repeat.
And when you trance, the pink and green spirits, they will also get better because your lives and bombs will increase by twice as much. They will give you 2 pieces instead of 1.
Okay.
So this gets rooted around as well, because in this game you will need quite a lot of bombs and lives to optimally score everything. So the resource gain is very important as well. Basically, on boss fights, when you are close to them, they will give you more spirits. The rate at which they give spirits is much higher than when you are far below them. So you want to shotgun them. But the thing is, in this game, the patterns are typically not very shotgun friendly, which results in a lot of invincibility abuse. So you often have to bomb or trance on the bosses to be able to shotgun them.
Okay,
and this will give you very high PIV as well. That's how I'll be abbreviating the name.
What's that for?
Point
the abbreviation?
Value, I'll be abbreviating as PIV.
Okay, point item value. Got you. Okay.
This attack gets tranced as well because you can't reliably shotgun the entire time. And yeah, so the last mechanic I have to go over is the speed killing and chaining of enemies. Like, there exists a chaining system in this game. And if you are chaining, well, you will hear this high-pitched squeak sound. I think there was one.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard a few of squeaks.
And well, when you get the squeak sound, that means enemies are dropping gray spirits, which fill your gauge more.
Oh.
And if you break a chain, which happens if you don't kill anything for about 2 seconds, you will get no gray spirits anymore unless you start a new chain. So you will get slower gauge filling. So you want to ideally do chains on all the enemies in the stage.
And that's just killing them like from left to right and right to left, etc.
You also want to, you also want them to die as fast as possible, because if you kill them quickly, they will give you more blue spirits than they otherwise would. If you kill them very late, they in fact won't give any spirits at all.
I see. So a lot of that sounds like a lot of the. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of the routing is just going to be figuring out how to insert those chains as early as possible. So a lot of memorization there, and
yes, there's a lot of memorization and routing involved. It is a very route-intensive game, and it's actually quite consistent as well. Like Touhou is known for being pretty random in many of its games, but this game is actually one of the more consistent ones. Although there is still a degree of randomness to it, but it's definitely not as excessive as some of the other titles in the series.
So I can hear the chain sound even while the point blank of the boss is happening there. Is that because the chain is still happening? You can get chains
on bosses as well, as long as you are close enough to them, because of the high rate at which they will give out spirits. And if you are too far down, the rate will be really low, so it will take longer than 2 seconds before you get a new one and the chain will break.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually not as complicated as I was expecting for a Touhou game, and like you said,
it's not very cool.
fairly simple. I mean, you get the 4 spirits, and the gray ones fill up the meter, and you use the trance, and then you got your life and your bomb spirits.
Pretty much. They root the entire game around optimizing that as much as they can. And yeah,
Classic
because
stuff.
of the high amount of invincibility usage, there's not really that much grazing in this game. Like grace is one thing that Touhou is really known for, but in this game you spend so much time on invincibility and collecting spirits that grace is kind of irrelevant. Although there are still some patterns that you will grace for a bit of extra point item value. It still gives you point item value, but it's mostly just not really worth doing in this game. So it's very different from other Touhou titles that are largely about grazing bullets.
Interesting. All right. Well, would you still like to restart the replay
It's
and
time to
commentate
restart.
it?
Yeah, it's time to start the Lunatic run because I would like to start off with that one.
Oh, you would? Okay. So we're gonna move on from the normal run.
You can
Okay,
quit the replay
perfect.
now and just go to the Lunatic run, and I will do the normal run afterwards. Because the Lunatic run has the strongest character that gets the most score, so that is quite interesting to see.
Okay, if you like to do it that way, sounds good to me. So that was the player was mithril on that, by the way.
Yep.
We'll watch that after this Lunatic run with Youmu by OTD.
Yes. OTD is the world record holder for Lunatic Youmu, which is also the highest score in the entire game, and the only run that scores 4 billion. In fact, it was so tight that if he had literally 1 item less, it would not be 4 billion.
Wow.
Okay, let's reset it at the same time.
Yeah, so I went to the I started the replay and I'm at the play replay again button, just so we're on the same page here. Beep. All right, then if you're ready, I'll count us down. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So he is playing as Youmu, and Youmu is a very good shot type for this game, because her focus shot when you hold shift is a charged sword slash. It's very wide and can pretty much immediately destroy most enemies that you see in the game. And this is super efficient for spirit collection, because it's very easy to use for speed killing.
Did you say that's a charge attack?
He's just wrecking all those enemies easily with the slashing.
So how do you do the slash then? It's just her normal attack?
You need to hold your shot key and release it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hold to charge it and then you release it.
Oh, I see, gotcha.
So, yeah, so this shot type is pretty weird and takes some getting used to. But when you have learned it, it's very satisfying.
That looks really cool.
Okay, so he's dashing around to speed kill all those enemies and collect the spirits after he just chained the mid boss by shotgunning it with trance as well. Alright, so we have arrived at the first boss. He is going to grace this first mon, which is only really necessary as a world record optimization, because it only adds like a little bit of point item value to it. In most cases, you won't have to bother to grace patterns, but in this case, he really wanted to go for the absolute highest he could possibly get. So he bothers to get that bit of extra grace, and then he bombs the boss at point blank range.
That was the bomb?
Into a trance. Because the bombs, they refill your gauge really fast because they deal a lot of damage. So they instantly give you a large bunch of spirits. So you can often use a bomb to connect into a trance on boss fights. And this became a running joke as well, where players would be saying XXC when saying how to score this game, because you can typically just use 2 bombs from empty to refill your gauge, and then you can do another trance again, and you can be in point blank range invincible the entire time.
So you're invincible during the full bomb.
Yeah, he has almost another full bomb now. Yeah, and he is going to use another one because this is not possible to shotgun with this shot type.
So when does the charge end for the is it can you charge that attack?
I think it's
for
about 1 second for the sword slash to. Or do you mean the trance gauge?
Oh yeah, maybe I was talking about the trance. So the trance is the non-stop hitting slash. I don't know.
Yeah. Her trance has kind of a short vertical range, but it's very powerful still. And it's wide, and that's useful for the stages, as you will see very soon, because he has just filled this gauge up another time, and he will leave all the spirits on screen on purpose, so he will get the blue ones at plus 100 and not at plus 10, as he's doing right now. So he hits those enemies with the sides of the white slashes, so he can efficiently speed kill them. And then he left the gray ones on screen on purpose, so after the trance he immediately gets a bit of refill.
Yeah, I had a question about the end of stage 1. He left 2 blue spirits at the end of stage 1. Was that for chaining? Was a question.
I am not exactly sure why that happened, because there, like when the boss died, there's not much of a reason to just not pick them up.
Let me clarify again. So is he fully invincible during trance as well?
Yes.
Okay.
You're invincible for the entire duration.
Okay. And pretty much the same thing for bombs, or does that end during the bomb, the invincibility?
Yeah. When you use a bomb, you are invincible as well.
Okay. Just clarifying.
It won't. In fact, after you finish a trance, you still have about 1 second of extra iframes after it as well.
Nice. All right. Cool. So it's all about abusing that invincibility and getting the items.
Yep. When you get to the boss fights, it's kind of silly because there's lots of invincibility abuse going on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, okay, gotcha. And then hitting these with the side is really clever looking.
The stages are the most interesting part in this game for sure. Because that's where most of the cool routing is going on. With the speed killing and all the chains that you need to keep up. And in this case, with the way he times his sword slashes. So on this boss, he actually opens with a gray spot that you can just sit in, and then he has to bomb for shotgun then. And on this attack, you can sit on her head to shotgun her before the jelly beans would aim at you.
These spell cards are so weird with these like boxes with the bullets inside of them.
This boss has like these boxes that will deflect the bullets in the other direction. And here you see him actually dodging this attack because he needs his resources for the stage after it, so he cannot use them here.
Okay, and then now he's charged up.
So he actually survives this one and then immediately goes for a trance in order to point blank the attack.
Squeak.
It's a lot of extra PIV as well.
I like the squeak noise.
It's funny. It's funny when you're trancing in front of a boss because you will hear it constantly because of the super fast spirit collection.
Yeah, that's good. Game looks really nice. I like the artwork. Artwork's looking pretty sharp too.
It's actually a significant improvement, I think, over some of the artwork seen in the previous games.
Yeah, it looked very good. So, so there's different levels of that charge attack. That's when I clarify about that. Is that how that works? Like, you charge it longer, you get a bigger sword slash thingy?
Actually, no. The sword slash is just a single attack.
Oh, but sometimes it happens like 5 times. Is he using like a partial trance, or what's the deal there? Can you use partial trances?
Well, you actually can if you die, because that's actually one thing I didn't mention yet, because we didn't get to a death yet in this one.
Oh.
If you die, then you will automatically go into trance state as well, as long if you have at least 1/3 gauge full.
Oh, huh.
So that is an opportunity for a partial trance. And well, what they do is when they have no bombs anymore, they will die on purpose at the best opportunity to be in trance state in. So the deaths are also planned. They are suicides.
Oh man, yeah, nice. Well, we already did have a death trance. That's chiming in right now.
In that case, he pressed C just right before he died. So you could hear the death sound, but he still entered a manual trance with the C button.
Crazy.
I think the window for that is about 8 frames. It's the same as when you bomb right before you die. It's also 8 frames. Okay, so as the run goes on, the PIV gets higher and higher, and the score gain will keep increasing. It increases so much that like half the score is from the last stage only.
So the PAV is increasing throughout the whole game, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And this also means that the entire game is relevant. Oh, I need to mention something about this attack, because this attack spawns ghost enemies on the side, and they award you spirits as well when you speed kill them. So you actually don't want to shoot the boss too much to end this attack, because then you would lack all the extra spirits that you would get from the side ghosts. So you want to milk the side ghosts on that first attack.
That bomb is so awesome.
Yep. It fills pretty much the entire screen with sword slashes. It's
Dude,
really cool.
This character is so good. I would definitely try this out.
She just straight up destroys this game, at least the stage portions. She's not the best at the boss fights, because she actually needs more resources than Marisa does. That's the character who's the best at boss fights, because she doesn't need many resources for it. Oh yeah, this attack is pretty weird as well, because she will actually heal. The third boss will heal by eating up all those spirits that she herself spawns. So you want to prevent her from healing by grabbing them yourself, which means you need to go up through the attack to prevent her from healing.
Oh wow.
It's actually one of the harder attacks to dodge in this game, although Youmu doesn't have that much trouble with it, because her sword slashes are so strong that she can take it down pretty quickly. Yup, this is a PC game. It's for the Windows system. Okay, so here you can again see that he leaves spirits on the screen on purpose, so he gets them he gets all the blue ones at plus 100 value. This is done a lot in this game. When you have your gauge full, you always want to leave as many spirits on screen as you can to make the most out of that trance. It's really all about that key trance planning. a really nice thing about the sword slashing is that if you use that, you pretty much immediately start the chain because they deal multiple hits in one go at such a high speed that you immediately start the chain. So like when you need to start a new chain, Youmu can just use her sword slashes to do just that, start the chain.
Okay.
He only just tranced and his gauge is already immediately full thanks to all that efficient speed killing that he did after the mid boss fight. And he can almost immediately just use another trance. This stage has pretty rapid succession of trances. And now there are again a super large bunch of spirits on the screen. He's already immediately full again.
Did he die there, or did he?
Yeah. He killed himself on purpose when he had no bombs left.
Okay. Just making sure I saw that correctly.
You did.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of reminds me of Death Smiles a little bit with like these recharges of the spirit gauge, like having to leave all the items on screen after you're done doing your power up.
It's pretty similar to that, indeed. Although actually, I think the Touhou wiki says that the trance system was a reference to the DFK hyper system.
Oh, really?
Apparently, I'm not sure where they got that from, but it does seem to be a bit similar because it increases your shot power and it also it changes what your shot looks like, and the DFK hyper will also cancel enemy bullets.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like invincibility.
Yeah, I mean, a hyper is a hyper in general.
Yep. So something to explain about this boss. The third boss is also there during every attack, and she will also award you spirits. And if you shoot the main boss, the attack will end. So you want to milk Yoshika, the third boss, for a lot of extra spirit gain on every attack. So you are just constantly bullying her.
This is kind of goofy.
Yep. She revives because she is a zombie, and then she dies again. And then she revives, and then she dies again.
You gotta burn them, like in Resident Evil, to make them stay away.
Yep. Yeah, so like when he trances here, he moves to her, so she gets milked for everything.
This is crazy.
At this point, the score is already over 1 billion. Yep, there's a lot of resource usage going on in the later boss fights. It gets even crazier in the semi-final and final boss fights. The score gain there is also ridiculously high. Okay, so he wants to start the 5th stage with a full gauge. And he is full. Right before the attack would end. It's all pretty tightly woven together, and because you really need, for a world record score, you really need to have this really strict routing so you can squeeze as many trances into the run as possible to max out your PIV as early as you can. It maxes out at 500k, so he is not quite there yet, but he will get there at around the final boss. And here are some more fairies that give extra resources. Good. And at this point, you want to suicide because you have no bombs, and a trance really helps to efficiently speed kill this particular section.
So yeah, death trance.
The white sword slashes can do a very good job at shooting that wide range of enemies there. And then we have the mid boss. As usual with mid bosses, they have to die as fast as possible, because if you do that, then there will be bonus enemies after her that you wouldn't see if you killed her slowly.
Okay.
So like, she dies now, and then these big bonus fairies will show up.
Is there boss health bars? I can't tell.
Yep, they have health bars.
Okay, I haven't been noticing them going down.
Yeah. They have a health bar for each set of non-spell plus spell card, where the spell card is like the last slice of the health bar.
Oh, the health bars are the circles around the boss. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, I was looking at like the very top because I'm used to seeing like the health bar on the top.
Yeah, they used to be at the top in the older games, but they changed it to circles or something.
Oh, okay, that was throwing me off. Because I'm looking at the top bar and it wasn't moving. I was like, what the fuck? So the bomb filling pretty much the entire screen is really useful for that circle section right there as well, because you hit all the enemies, which you wouldn't really be able to do otherwise. And that is a really interesting part as well. Like, what he just did is a required dialogue skip. Like, he made all the spirits show up from right before the boss fights, and then skip the dialogue and immediately enter a trance state, so all of them stay on screen, and he can collect the resources. Otherwise,
and now he's constantly spamming her with bombs and trances to point blank the entire battle. Well, like, he's just constantly XC, and that's where the XXC joke comes from. That's just what the boss fights are.
Yeah.
Bomb, and again, immediately into a trance. Yep, that's how it is.
Well, I like that it's like simple, you know?
Yeah, the boss fights are basically your prize money for how well you did the stages.
Ah. Because it seems like there hasn't been a really huge focus on dodging.
Is going on.
Yeah. Okay, wow, he got another billion.
Yep.
I didn't even notice. It is a nice boat.
On this fight, you actually deal damage to the boat as well, so you gain twice as many spirits as you otherwise would. Okay, so he has about half a score right now, and there's only the final stage left. So the final stage is going to be an extreme cash-in. It already starts at the beginning as he changed the first section. Then he is going to leave spirits on screen for PvP game. So on this part, you need to be really careful with killing those ghost enemies, because they have this lead fairy with a train of ghost enemies behind them. And if you kill the lead fairy, all the ghosts will die, which is an enormous score loss that you really don't want to happen at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and her sword slashes, they are really big, so it is quite easy to accidentally kill a lead fairy. You need to be super careful with shooting here. Like, what he's doing on this part as well with One Piece is like, he just briefly taps the Z key. Just to make sure he doesn't kill the lead fairies.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty how he did that. That looked really well done.
You really want to learn that particular section well. It's like the most important part of this stage, basically. And now there's a bunch of life pieces, so he skips the dialogue so they won't disappear, trances all of them, and immediately goes point blank on the final boss, which will give him his last billion. So he has 2 lives and 3 bombs at this point, and well, almost all the resources are going to be used in quick succession. And from the bomb he's already full, and there we go, the next trench. And at this point the PIV is maximal, it's 500,000, so you are going to cash in the entire time. It's not very difficult to do. I mean, clearly you're just spamming X and C, but it's quite a satisfying cash in if you have done the stage as well, and you get to enjoy the huge score increase thanks to your good routes.
Yeah, this is insane how much score he's gotten in the last 2 stages.
Like every Grey Spirits, and he's constantly receiving Grey Spirits, gives 500,000. So yeah. He died on purpose there because he has no bomb anymore. And now he does. Yep, every attack gets skipped. You do not dodge even a single attack on this fight. Because it's just not feasible to shotgun it without invincibility. That's just pretty much a design flaw on Zeus, and he didn't really design these patterns around the system very well, I have to say.
Well, if you're playing for survival, it's going to be a completely different game, right?
yeah, it's extremely different if you're playing for
it's crazy because it's like there's so many different spell cards and whatnot, but they're all just trivialized completely by the score run.
They all get trivialized in scoring, although that doesn't mean scoring is easier. I mean, the main thing is the stages, and the stage routes, they get really strict when you're doing high level scoring, and it's easy to mess up and go off routes.
So you could potentially have less resources on a boss and then actually do some patterns normally, essentially.
Then you can't do your routes properly. Exactly. If you have like one bomb less, that might already mean you will have to deviate from your planned routes, and can really mess things up.
My goodness, this fight's been going on for a while.
Yep, and at the end, he kills himself on purpose, so he gets Grey Spirits, which is worth more than dodging the attack, because each Grey Spirits is 500,000. Then his score goes up to 3.990. The clear bonus doesn't show in replays for some reason. I don't know if it's a bug, but it has existed since Mountain of Faith. The clear bonus is 10 million, so he just barely makes it to 4 billion with this run. It was the first ever and still the only 4 billion run that we have seen in this game.
That was pretty damn impressive.
It's a very impressive and tight run.
Yeah, that was really cool. Wow. So yeah, OTD, what a legend, what a legend.
He has played mostly this game. I don't think he has major achievements in other Touhou games because he really focused on 10 Desires in particular.
A specialist of his craft.
The same goes for Mithril. Mithril and OTD are, unfortunately, they are both retired at this point. But Mithril managed to still have most, I think, most of the world records in the game. Like he holds all of the world records for easy and normal, so for all 4 of the different shot types, and he also still holds the world record on hard difficulty with Sanae, so that's 9 world records total.
I see.
And we are going to watch one of them right now, namely the Sanae normal world record that he got. It's 1.806. Normal mode scores quite a bit lower than Lunatic mode, and this is because it doesn't drop as many spirits as hard and Lunatic do. And its PIV, it's capped at 250,000 instead of 500,000, so 250k is the cap, and it's it's reached earlier in the game than Lunatic reaches it as well.
Okay.
So, are we gonna do a countdown start for the Sanae run?
Yeah. Why don't we?
I'll use the resets for that.
Yep, the play replay again.
Yeah, exactly. You also start with less point item value than you would on Lunatic.
Oh wow.
In fact, it's like this. Your starting PIV gets increased by 5k per difficulty. So it's 5k on easy, it's 10k for normal, 15k for hard, and 20k for Lunatic.
Neat. Then I guess you'll get into how Sanae is different as well.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be very different because Sanae is the lowest scoring shot in this game. And I will do my best to explain why exactly that is.
Okay. Well, I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go.
So Sanae's shot is one of the weakest things. It does pretty low damage compared to Youmu's shot and actually compared to any other shot. She also doesn't move particularly fast, and her bomb and her trance are also weak, and so she really suffers when scoring this game in comparison to Youmu. Like, with her, the routing is also very different. Like, as you just saw, he bombed this early section twice, and no other shot bombs this.
So why the bombs?
The bombs were there so he could get his gauge full to trance the mid boss.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay, gotcha.
Because if you do the bomb, her bomb is this really big star that is wide enough to kill enemies on both sides, and her shot is not very wide, so she cannot do that reliably if not bombing or. Yep, it's not nice to lack the sword slashes because you actually have to dash around a lot to try to speed kill all those enemies. Yes. There's actually a mistake that Zune made when developing this game. Like he intended Sanae to have faster gauge filling than the other characters. But the thing is, because she is so weak that in practice she doesn't actually gain more spirits than the others do at all. So her special ability is effectively just non-existent, useless. And that's a lot of why she is not very good at this game. She basically has no advantage over the others.
She's an underpowered character, I guess.
Not a very powerful character. And yeah, on normal it takes longer to start the chain than it does on Hearn and Lunatic, because the Grey Spirits, they come up at a lower rates on easy and normal. Yeah. I definitely would say she's a pretty cute girl.
At least is that.
I mean, if you like Sanae a lot, no problem with using her. Just know that she won't score as high. Yeah, like on this section, you will have to manually dash around to hit them all. I mean, everyone except Youmu has to do that, but the other shots, they also have their advantages to them. Morth will go over what Marisa can do in this extra run, I'm assuming. Because because he used Marisa for that.
Is there what's with the deal with their focus shot? Is it just straightforward, or I haven't noticed it being used?
The focus shot is more of a focus shot than her unfocus shot fires these waves, and it's actually stronger up close than her focus shot. So you will see mithril using his unfocus shot when he's shotgunning, because it deals higher damage, because like all the waves will actually hit the boss when you're up close.
The trance looks so weird with that like yellow billow.
She fires this yellow kind of liquid lookalike thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what she's actually firing.
Yellow liquid goo.
That sure looks like that.
Oh boy.
Alright, so for this section you wanna like not go too far to the side, because then you won't be able to maintain the chain throughout the berries. So he kind of makes these bridging movements. It's a bit similar to DDP chaining actually on that particular part, where you have to bridge enemies as well to make sure you can maintain your chaining. And here we see that shotgunning strat again, where he sits on her head, except on normal the attack is not very dense, so you can actually sit on her the entire time.
Why would you go inside of that square?
Yeah, there's no reason to.
She's just releasing it, I guess, is her thing. Such a weird attack.
He filled his gauge by sitting on her head, and then he can trance the attack after it.
That is what's happening. How about that boss movement? Is that random? The left and right there, or is that predetermined?
The boss movement, I think they will sometimes listen to you if you are on a particular side. As far as I'm aware, they are more likely to move to your side, but they won't always. It's a chance thing.
I see.
It has been that way since MOF, I am pretty sure.
They tend to just follow you around?
Mm-hmm. They have a tendency to, yeah.
Okay. The music has been enjoyable also, I'd just like to mention.
At least on that particular attack, there's that tendency thing.
Okay.
Like some attacks might have static movement, some might have random as well.
Alright, got a chain going and lost it.
Yep. On this section, you want to chain the ghosts first. And he speed kills all of the resource fairies right there. Then he point blanks all of these because he memorized the position. You can immediately speed kill them all. Then we see the trick where you leave the blues on screen again so you can plus 100 all of them. Except that the trance gets interrupted by the mid-boss in this case. Yeah, whenever a mid-boss or a boss shows up while you're in trance state, it will end. And when it ends, your gauge will still be at the point it was at while you were using the trance, so you can quickly use another one. In this case, when he got interrupted by the mid-boss, he was at about 1/2 full, so he could bomb and then have it full again. Okay, he uses a bomb here so he can chain all of the ghosts coming in from the side, which is impossible to do with your regular shot.
Okay. God damn, I can't stop seeing like the thinking emoji on those one spirits with the eyebrow. Like with the eyebrow.
I can see that.
I'm not the only one. I hope I'm not the only one. Zombie's back.
I actually didn't look at it that way yet.
Okay.
Alright, so again, you want to milk the ghosts on the side. Although, if you stay on one side, at some point they'll just stop appearing for quite a while. So you want to constantly switch sides to make the most out of it.
Like constant rubber ducky squeaks.
Yep. If you're hearing that, you are doing it right.
I mean, it's a good noise.
It's the good sign, and if the sign stops, you probably fucked something up.
Right, because you want to keep that going the whole boss fight. So okay, yeah.
Here, by the way, is sometimes you get a mean spawn. Like the spirits after an attack will spawn at random. At randomized locations. So in a rare case, it might happen that your life piece after a boss attack will spawn far away and you don't automatically collect it. In this case, it happened with the bomb piece. But like, he abused the healing on the attack after it because the boss would make the bomb spirit move down, then he could still collect it.
Wow. I don't know if I got all that, but it sounds crazy.
So he abuses that healing thing to recover from the bad RNG that he got. Because when the boss heals, she absorbs the spirits, so they will move towards her, and then that also means they are closer to him. So he could go up and collect it. So you also want to bump this to make sure you can speed kill properly. And have a full gauge for this particular part, because it gives you extra resources as well. On I think the final 4 fairies. Yeah, that one, and then 3 more will also give you extra resources. The last to give extra lives. Yep, he's at 10 out of 12 now. The mythos get skipped for bonus fairies, so we use 2 bombs.
Can't even see her health bar during that bomb, though.
Yep, you can barely see the health bar with that. He leaves those on screen. There we go.
Oh, I see. Yeah, trances and then grabs them.
Yep. Optimizing the trances. Ideally, you want to leave them like on screen for as long as you can, and then it's right before they disappear. Because if you're in trance state, they will not disappear.
Oh, okay, okay. And like you can't fill the trance gauge as it's being used, correct?
No. Because it's depleting while you're using it. Like at the bottom left right now, as you're using it, it will just go down because it has a fixed duration of 10 seconds. So you can't make that duration longer.
Or it's not like you collect them and like you start the next trance gauge like higher up.
Yeah,
either.
you don't. So what you want to do is leave the gray ones there and you collect them afterwards.
Okay, gotcha.
Because the gray ones give more engage.
Oh, this looks cool.
Okay, so he starts by sitting on Yoshika's head. Because the shots will actually hit her that way from above. And then he bonks. He waits here because can get a bit of extra grace, and then you want to you always want to start a shotgun up. I mean, you always want to start a chain by being up close. So like when he is far down, you won't see him shoot at the boss because that would lose him spirits.
It's a waste of opportunity there. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, with the trance he did just yet. He managed to shoot both bosses and maintain the chain with it as well. Yep, he is milking her by repeated kills for extra spirits. Although on the non-spells you can only kill her once and she will not come back. So here he is actually doing it manually, and then he hits himself on purpose.
That was a death trance, or
Yep. I usually call it a suicide into trance, because if you call it a death trance, then people might think you mean that thing where you press C right before you would die and you save yourself. That's called a death trance.
Oh, there's a difference. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's similar to death bombing that the other Touhou games also have. It's basically just a few frames of leniency for bombing to prevent death.
It's nice.
Although it's not nice if you're used to it and then want to play arcade shmups that don't have death bombing.
Well,
you got used to the leniency and then it's like gone, yeah.
Well, the bottom line is you should be doing it well before, you know.
That's
or ahead of time.
You're not supposed to be reliant on death bombing. That's not a good thing.
This looks kind of tough to point blank.
Yep, you need to be wary of the knives that are constantly being fired at you. And you have to capture that actually, so you don't want to use resources on that attack.
Oh, where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Went up after that.
And in the final attack, she is in the top right, and you also need to constantly shoot her.
God, it's like it's crazy how that bomb shakes the whole screen. It's really chaotic looking. Tau fetal movement.
Yeah. On my game, it doesn't show that because I have the original Japanese version.
Yeah, I patched it.
Yeah. The reason I have the original Japanese is for my practice tool to work. Because it requires the game to be unpatched.
I see.
Although, if you use the newest thing, the community automatic reliant patcher, which actually abbreviates as CRAP, you will not have any problems with the tool because it's not a hard patch.
Okay.
It's a runtime thing. Okay, so here is still that suicide that you would also do with Lunatic Youmu, except there are less spirits on this part right now. Actually, no, I think he might not. Oh yeah, there's Sweat. It's just later. I got confused there for a bit because I'm used to doing the lunatic timing. It times the suicide a lot earlier than you hear.
Wait, he died there.
Yep, to regain bombs, because you need your bombs right here at the mid-boss.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, her bombs and trance are so weak that she actually gets a bonus fairy less because the mid-boss died that much slower. That's the struggles of using Sanae. The big fairies are actually quite lenient with the chaining, so like you could take a few seconds and they would still give chain. They have way more leniency than the small enemies, which you need to kill really fast to maintain chain properly. Oh yeah, this part gives a lot of spirit with the large circles of ghost enemies going around the screen. Except Sanae's low speed makes it kind of hard to speed kill them because you have to circle the entire screen following them, and she's not very fast, so she doesn't gain as much from it as other shots would. Here he again skips the dialogue, immediately bombs the first non-spell, and then trances, so all of those bomb spirits stay there. So that's again a required dialogue skip, because if you don't skip the dialogue, the spirit's time will still tick and they will disappear after 10 seconds.
Okay, but
it's the only strat while this and the final stage are the only time in the Touhou series that you actually require a dialogue skip for scoring. It's really weird but interesting in a way.
I see he didn't quite have enough there, so then he had to dodge the attack and then point blank after.
Yeah,
so there's some kind of goofiness like that occasionally.
That shows how weak Sanae is, because she just can't even kill attacks in one go with the resource sometimes.
Those are some really nice bullets.
You need more to get past the bosses, and that's why she doesn't score as much on other parts. Oh yeah, the bomb here fills your gauge extremely fast because it deals a lot of damage to the boat as well. It is pretty much filled in 2 seconds or something.
Oh, the boat is a thing you're hitting, okay.
Yeah, you hit both the boss and the boat.
Oh, okay, nice. I got you. So that's even more stuff. Alright, we've cracked $1 billion now.
Yep, broken the billion.
And
it's not going to break 2 billion. Okay, so his PIV has been maximized for a while as well now, and that means that blue spirits are now irrelevant, because what they do is increase your PIV, but it's maximum, so they don't do anything anymore. So the only thing that matters are the gray ones now.
what can you do to make sure you get more of the gray ones now then?
Well, you want to chain as much as you can, because chaining is what generates grays.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, on this part, he needs to be wary of not killing the lead fairies, because then all the ghosts will insta-die.
Yeah, at least the lead ones have more health than the trailing ones.
Mm-hmm. They have a lot more health, and with Sanae, you're actually at an advantage there, because her weak shot means that you won't accidentally kill the lead fairies as much. Yeah, he actually missed a bomb fragment there. That's correct. Although he doesn't really need it. He didn't need that extra bomb fragment for his roots. Oh yeah, here's another case of Sanae being too weak. Like, he couldn't kill the attack early enough, so he had to use another bomb to kill the last bit of the attack as well. And here, he stalls the trance out on purpose, so because he is going to actually capture this attack normally. Since it's feasible to maintain your chain here without invincibility, and it's actually worth it to go for a dodge. He doesn't even have bombs or a full gauge, so he would have to suicide on that right now, but that means he wouldn't have enough resources for the remainder of the fight, so he just goes for a capture. Then he transfers this knife attack instead. On this one, he goes for a normal capture as well, because unlike on Lunatic, there are no rings that obstruct you, so you can just sit in front of Miko, the final boss, the entire time. You can also hit her from the side and also keep chain that way, or hit her on her head, that also keeps chain. If you need to circle around her, it depends on the bullet RNG. Okay, so on this attack he is dying on purpose because he has no bombs anymore, so he transfers via a death. He regains his bombs right when the attack's at low health. He finishes it off with his invincibility frames, so he can wait before he uses the bomb, which he's going to do right now. And then he needs to wait again, because if he transfers immediately, he will not be able to kill the attack and collect its resources afterwards.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he has to wait. Now he just barely manages to kill the attack while tranced. And because he waited, he now just barely made it to the last extra life. It says 0 out of 20 life pieces, so he had just enough life pieces to get extra life.
Nice.
So actually, if he didn't wait there, it would have cost him the run. Because then you can't kill yourself at the end and you lose all those extra great spirits. I do not actually know why this happens, but for some reason, if you kill yourself at the same time as the final boss dies, you get way more grey spirits than a regular death would. So they always time it, so they die at the exact same time as her, or just approximately the same time. That works too.
Man.
And that gives you a really large bunch of grey spirits. So yeah, the clear bonus is, I think it is 8 million. Yeah, it's what increases score to 1.806. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So yeah, that was the Sanae run. I'm gonna notify Morth right now.
Okay.
Because it's time to go to Extra. Although, while we wait for Morth, I received a... I think someone wanted me to talk about Reimu.
Sure.
Because that's the only shot that is unfortunately not being shown on this stream. And while she in this game still has her homing shot, and that allows her to handle some sections easier, but her bomb and her trance are also not very strong, which is a disadvantage. And another disadvantage that she has is actually her special ability. Because Reimu's special ability is that she automatically attracts spirits towards her when she is in trance state. And that is actually bad because this allows her from leaving Grace on screen on purpose so you can connect into a next trance for another section. So she will have to maneuver around that by waiting for longer times before she can pull off another trance. So that actually makes her the second lowest scoring shot. Sanae is still the lowest scoring. And Marisa is the second highest scoring shot, which is going to be shown whenever Morth arrives.
You could talk about Marisa a little bit.
Yeah, I can definitely talk about Marisa. Yeah, I pinged him on the server a few minutes ago. He should show up.
Okay.
Yeah, Marisa is actually the shot that I mainly use in this game, and she has the highest movement speed, so this allows for good chaining because she can dash and hit enemies pretty easily. Although it's still worse than the big sword slash that Youmu has, but it allows for better chaining than Reimu and Sanae. Marisa, though, why she's the second highest scoring, is her trance is very powerful, and it even speeds her up as well. So she is extremely fast during a trance, which basically guarantees chain keeping if you move around. Okay. And it's very powerful. It's powerful enough that you can even skip high health attacks in a single trance. And her bomb is also the most damaging in the game if you use them point blank on a boss. So she has really efficient boss resource usage. She is the best at boss fights, but the second best at stages because it's not as good as the sword slashes. Her shot is also not very wide. She fires lasers and missiles that mostly fire forward, so you will have to be under things to hit them. And that will be shown in the extra run. For some reason, Morth seems to be offline. Is he having internet problems? That could very well be the case. I hope not, though. I hope he's gonna come back.
We can wait a little bit longer. What about Extra? How does Extra differ from the regular other modes?
Yeah, I guess I can explain that anyway, because that would have to be explained by Morth otherwise. Well, Extra is actually very different from the main game, because you know what is the case in Extra? In Extra, you get a very high clear bonus when you beat the stage without dying. Which isn't quite the case in the main game. In the main game, you get so much from those deaths with trances and extra spirits that it's just not worth it to finish with high lives. It's worth it to constantly bomb and kill yourself instead. Yeah. But in Extra, the clear bonus you get from clearing without dying is actually really high, so you want to not die. You want to no miss the entire stage. So there's not as much resource usage going on.
It's that much of a difference. It's that much better to no miss, huh? Okay.
It led to Extra being more respected in the Western community for a long time because people did not really like the bomb and trance spamming as much that you see in the main game.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, it is kind of ridiculous. Alright, so we're gonna get Morth in here.
Morth came back. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the explanation of Extra to Morth right now. It was nice to be here live on STG Weekly.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, welcome Morth. How's it going? Alright, I'm gonna turn you up a bit. You're a bit low. You said you're trying to use your phone to talk?
I don't have a mic.
Okay, could you try talking closer into your phone, I guess?
Is this better?
A little bit, yeah. Can you do any closer than that?
No, my lips are a centimeter from.
Okay, okay, we'll work with that then.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So I hope you're doing well today, and thanks for coming on. You're going to talk about your extra run that you are the world record holder of. Overall record holder.
And not even with the best shot time.
So I just had Maribel explain a little bit about extra mode and how you have to no miss, and that's you get more of a bonus compared to doing all the trance bomb spamming, etc. Would you like to elaborate on that at all, or give us a little setup before we start your run here?
Yeah, basically the life bonus is 40 mil points. And that's the same on loot. But the difference is, in extra there's only 600 mil points total. So like losing one life, that's a huge chunk of your score. You won't make up in the short time with the 2 extra.
Okay, well, would you like to jump into the run, or is there anything else you'd like to preface before we get in here?
Yeah, I'll just say the reason I like this category so much is because it's really dense. I don't know if that's a good way to put it. It's a short category and there's a lot going on. So it's really fun. It's only 10 minutes. It's one of the shorter extra stages. But then I'm ready to get in.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna start your replay by going in and then going to the replay, and then I'll do a countdown. It'll be a 3, 2, 1, go countdown. So I'm gonna do the play replay again thing here. Okay, well let's check it out then. All right, so it'll be a 3, 2, 1, go countdown. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the things you will notice a bit early on at this point is that I actually care about grays in this run. I know it's not that relevant in Lunatic and Normal, but it's worth a decent amount of B. A lot of the differences in strategy just come from the fact that there's less places to opt. So a bit more grazing than you might be used to. Yes, and then for this part, people used to just go left, right, on this really wacky route, which gets slightly more PIV on that. I do it. So, a bit of an improvement. Right, on the mid-boss, you'll start to notice, the mid-boss is coming around, you'll start to notice that we don't spawn it. In fact, what we do is we save all our bombs, 6 of our bombs, for a survival, which is one where the boss has infinite health and you just want to deal as much damage as any extra damage. So what that means is that we don't want to use bombs before then, we want to keep them all for that.
For survival? You mean you're not going to be able to deal with these patterns?
No, I meant a timeout card, but the goal isn't to capture it, it's to survive for 90 seconds.
Okay, oh, got you.
So that's an example of a card where we just don't try to. The last one is pretty hard to dodge on its own.
It's working.
I really like the strategy in this category. I think the TD mechanics are really good for, like, the really good scoring mechanics when you take out the bombs. That's just my opinion.
Ah, okay.
Because, I mean, it's very direct risk reward. The closer you are to the boss, the more points.
Yeah.
To be more specific, you want to be at shotgun distance as much as possible.
Yeah, those main categories were crazy. Just non-stop invincibility and all that.
Yeah, well, fortunately, at least in my opinion, we don't have. There's a lot more happening. Well, anyway, on the first non, the first non will be a non-spell where you can sometimes shotgun the boss and sometimes not, and that's a really interesting thing because it means we need to conserve when we shoot. So you'll notice a lot of the time I don't shoot, and I'll only start shooting. Well, I'm actually stalling for Mamazo RNG right now, because if Mamazo is high up, she's likely to. If she's low down, she's likely to. So what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for her to move high. Just then she was kind of high, I anticipated her moving downwards, and then I grazed, and then I shotgun, and she moved. It's just a tiny micro optimization that gets you maybe 1 or 2 extra spirit, but it's worth it. And it's especially worth it with this route because any extra orb you get here is an extra 150 PIV in the future. The trans route is extremely tough, especially at the start. So this trans orb farming has to be really. Oh yeah, this start of this spell is really. And it's actually possible to stay in shotgunning range, or at least in the range where you get orbs, gray orbs. It's possible to stay in that range the entire spell, but it's just not worth it. It's, as far as I can tell, pretty luck-based. Here's a good example of, yeah, there I waited for Mamazo to be high up. I knew she was going to move down, so that's where I shot.
Yeah, I don't think Maribel had mentioned that within that orb is where you get the point-blank bonuses all the time.
Yeah,
but just by you just said basically being close. But the outer orb works as well, is what you're saying.
There's 3 different ranges. There's like close range, there's mid-range, and there's long range. And what it actually depends on is your DPS. But with Marissa, her shot is strong enough that from mid-range you still get orbs. That's not the case with Sanae.
Okay.
Yeah, so this resource route was brand new. What people used to do is just trans non-spells 3, 5, 7, 9, the odd ones, pretty simple. But I realized that there's another way to do it, which gives you 1 extra, but you lose 2 spell card bonuses. They're very similar actually, but this one ends up being slightly better.
Very nice.
So in a couple of spell cards times, we get to the Frogs spell, which bit of an infamous spell, at least for scoring. So it is random to an extent. Basically, the angles of the first bullet determine the entire pattern. However, it's not like the whole thing is just rotated a bit. You actually have to learn a completely different pattern if you want to fully map. And that is exactly what I did. So that's not this spell, that's the one afterwards. This one's a nice fun dodging one, pretty simple though. So next one, what I basically did is I split the possible angles that the first 4 bullets can shoot out from. I split that up into 8 different angle categories. For each of those, I memorized the range dodge. So what you're going to see here is something really crazy. It's actually all memorized, but this is also random. Yeah, you would never be able to pull that off without memorizing it. That's a huge improvement over the other rounds too.
Interesting.
Yeah, and also on that spell, RNG does play a factor on how much score you get. On this run, I got the 2nd best RNG seed. It's also the hardest to dodge, but it's the 2nd best in terms of points. So I gained maybe 500,000 there. This run is actually very optimized to the point where RNG is a pretty big deal. Not that 500,000 points there, but the next spell is very RNG heavy, and that can make or break.
That's just how like the bullets disperse, or what is random here?
Well, at this point, it's Mamazo's movement. So she's just gonna move.
Oh, you went super muffled.
Let me try again.
Oh, you're back.
In that case, it's the boss movement. So she moved downwards the first time she moved, and then she stayed down. And that is perfect RNG. That lets me stay in. You move up, you don't go. You don't stay. Nearly as much.
Oh, you went muffled again.
How much of my explanation did you hear?
I got about like maybe half of that.
Okay, well, it's boss movement RNG.
Yeah, okay. The movement RNG, okay, and whatnot.
That was really what made the run. I've gotten better runs execution wise. So this run is 608. My best free scores are 608 mil, 607 mil, 607 mil. But on the two 607 mil runs, I actually played slightly better, but I didn't get that kind of RNG. And actually, in the last spell, I actually chanced it, but I made pretty much the only big mistake in the run, which was that I dropped 2 bomb pieces. I started my trance just a fraction of a second too late. No, too early. And that meant that I didn't get the double bomb pieces. However, I did get the double life piece and drop. A bit of bad luck combined with that. Yeah, and that meant that I'm 1 bomb short here. That's going to cost me 4 million points at the end. So it would have been 610 if not for that mistake. 610 was my goal for.
I see.
Yeah.
Is there like a gimmick here where it's like one of them is the real one, or what? Is it always? Oh, she's. I can't even see the. I can't even see the boss.
That's also why you don't bomb much in the rest of the stage. There was only 1 bomb apart from that spell. And that's just a huge cash in. It's a reason why you don't use bombs everywhere. And then that bomb spell, Extra would look pretty similar to main game, which I think you've gathered isn't my favorite. Just one last spell to finish off. I just trance halfway through it, just so that it finishes when the boss dies, and we're done. That is 608 mil. The overall world record for TD Extra.
Very nice, yeah, well done. When did you do that record?
December 2016, a while ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, even after getting it, I grinded a few months longer because I was really trying to get 610 mil. I got another 607 in that state at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The 610 mil never materialized. After a few months, I just quit.
That can be pretty tough. I mean, but hey, at least you tried.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying when you set aside a holiday to just grind a ton and you don't see results. But still, that run right there, the RNG there was absolutely top-notch. I could have gained maybe 500,000 extra points. And even though I lost a few million points on execution, something like 4 mil from missing a bomb piece, the RNG makes up for it. That was a very solid run.
So I'd asked you about what was RNG. So you mentioned the movement, but I think you were cutting out. Like, is it just the movement, or what else? What else is there about that that really alters the score?
Yeah, it's practically just the movement.
So
basically in that spell.
So that's the difference between you and getting like the point blank range and not the point blank range. Then is that what that is?
Exactly. You can't move up in that spell. If you do, you just get hit by. So there's like a maximum height you can be on in that spell, and you have to hope Mamizo moves down towards you.
To get to the max height, or?
Yeah, you have to hope. You stay as high as you can, and you have to hope Mamizo moves up.
Okay, I see. That's okay. Interesting.
With a shotgun. Happens. Mamizo moves twice. That happens both movements.
With only a 10-minute run, like, do you where would you reset? Like, would there be a common reset point that you would just go back? Then I guess with the RNG, or how was that reset situation like? Or do you just like play out the runs, or how does that work?
Well, I mean, the RNG. I've never reset over RNG. 4 million points, okay, you can still get 610 if you play really well.
Oh, okay. I see.
But, yeah, and of course, if you're not going for, like, if you don't want to be the world record, don't be discouraged about RNG. It only really matters when you're going for 610 millish. But anyway, where did I reset? Actually, it was pretty balanced where I reset. I'd say I lost more than half my runs to the mid-boss, and then on most spells, on a lot of spells, it was just 50-50 whether I got it or didn't. Which, you know, if you're playing some other game, 50-50 is horrible, but in a 10-minute category with only 13 spells, you can deal with that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to convey exactly how difficult some of those spells were, and you know what really went into that when it comes to like the level that you're playing at. But like, how much did you have to practice the extra mode, and how much did you have to play to get to that level? Was it like, what's the most difficult thing about the extra mode, would you say? I guess a few different questions there.
Okay, how long did it take? I don't know when I went from playing it casually to actually focusing on practice. I think it's an extremely fun stage just to play again and again. You know, at some point, of course, I was learning at that point, and then eventually I went back to, but you know, I can't tell how long I practiced, maybe a year and a half. But you know, I wasn't even focused on the game at the time. I just kind of had it.
You just liked playing it and played it.
Yeah, it's honestly really, really fun. Try to go for max resources on this stage. It's very interesting. And your second question, what's the hardest part? Actually, if you do only easy strats, you can get 560 mil without taking many risks. It depends on which strats you do. Now, I wasn't even using the hardest strats everywhere. The hardest strat I discovered was in Mamizo's first spell, where you can stay within shotgun time. Doing that is just insane. But out of the strats I did there, the frog spell is definitely the hardest in terms of learning. Like I said, there's 8 different angles and 8 different RNG seeds that you need to practice from. And it's not like you can just practice one of them until you're done. No, every time you restart and practice again, it's a different seed, and you have to kind of learn them all at once. And yeah, I'm the only one who's done it, so I had to come up with strats for each of them, which is even harder. Like, have to save a replay and then figure out which pattern it actually was, because at the start I wasn't that good at recognizing the pattern, and then try to find clues on how better to dodge it until eventually you learn these patterns. You learn the easiest one first, and then you keep going, and then I completely redid my strat on one of the angles after watching another streamer. Execution-wise, the hardest thing is hard to say. There's a few spells that were less than 50-50.
What do you mean by that? Less than 50-50?
I died more often than I passed them.
And that was for like your world record route?
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of rough.
Well, like I said, it's a very short stage, so you can get away with it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
If it were a 30-minute category, you would not do any of the strats you see.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. 10 minutes, that's not too bad, so yeah.
That's also why I said, oh, sorry, this is a very densely packed stage. There's always something going on. And if you want to play like this, you can always do extremely risky strats.
I see.
Yeah, any more questions?
There's a question from Crested Peak 9. They ask, are Reimu routes designed around her lack of spirit storage, or do you still have to avoid collecting some? I'm not sure if that was in general or maybe for you or not. Anyway, Maribel's answering that in the chat.
Okay, well, I can answer that for Extra, because in the case of Extra, you use a completely different route for Marisa and Youmu than compared to Reimu and Sanae. And yes, you need to take into account the amount of spirit orbs you can actually get from one spell, but also bombing, because there was one bomb in this run which does play a big role. You couldn't bomb like that with Sanae. But basically, I did quickly mention this, but I created a new route for the boss itself, where instead of trancing non-spells 3, 5, 7, and 9, I trance a couple of spells and get an extra trance in. You can't pull that off with Reimu and Sanae. You just don't get enough spirit orbs to do it.
I see.
Yeah, and plus their trances are weaker. In Extra, it actually plays a role. Like, if you're sacrificing a spell card bonus in order to get an extra trance in, which you're doing in this route, then you kind of need to balance that out. Like, is a trance giving you enough points? Reimu's trance isn't as strong as Marisa's trance.
Really, it seems like you really got to think about that stuff sometimes when you're trying to optimize a score. Like, what's the best way? And it sounds like you did find some new ways, because it's just not black and white all the time.
Back when I was playing it casually, I was constantly coming up with routes, and then I played this category for such a long time. I grinded like a few months. I got the record 591 mil. I got another record 597 mil. Then I discovered this route. So that's how well I needed to know the category before I could really fit all the pieces together. I'd had ideas like this all the time, but it took so long for one of them to actually work and for everything to fall into place.
Yeah, that's crazy how that works. Like, you can't just jump into that. It's like part of the whole process of how you got there.
I mean, I was doing casual for such a long time before I started scoring, and then I was really familiar with exactly how many orbs you get and how many life orbs and spirit orbs you get before I came up with this route and before I started scoring even. Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about 10 Desires? You had to pick, or something, if something stands out to you.
Can I just say the extra stage as a whole?
Sure.
It's so good.
It's a good extra stage, all right.
My favorite spell card in the extra stage is the frog spell. I've never played a spell like it, which is RNG and learning kind of mixed together, and a bit of dodging too, because you have to react to the end. So that spell has everything. It has a little bit of static memorization, but it's always slightly different. The angles aren't identical, they're always slightly off. So you have to control for that, you have to dodge. And plus there's obviously the RNG of which pattern you get. So that one's just a joy to play and practice.
So, alright, yeah. That's pretty much it. I was just gonna say, like, what do you think about that sword slash charge move that Youmu has? It's pretty badass, isn't it?
It's the reason I've never played Youmu X.
What? That sword slash though, it's badass.
I've played all the other shot types. Like third place with Reimu and first place with Sanae, but Youmu I don't even want to go to that.
Man.
Actually, Youmu in theory should have the overall record for this category. I don't know how much she gains, but it's something like 10 mil or maybe even 20 mil over Marisa.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like as the first viewer of this game today, is like that stuck out to me, that attack.
Okay, what you have to realize in the extra stage is we dodge a lot, and we have to dodge a lot at shotgun.
Yeah.
Right. And if you press the focus button and you stop shooting, then you've lost your combo. So basically, Youmu forces close to no focus. It's not exactly no focus. You can tap the shift button for a brief second, but you can't look at your hitbox. You can't.
Oh, okay.
Press
that makes sense then. Yeah, no wonder.
Yeah, it's you have to completely rethink how you do some of the spell cards too, because of the way her shot works. I remember KG, who has the Youmu record, actually lost the chain on spell card number 9, I believe. The primate spell card. He lost his chain there because his shot wasn't fully behind and he wasn't fully shotgunning. Yeah, you need to come up with different strats of every shot, actually. That's just a very clear example of Youmu.
You ever just play the game just for survival, like with the normal modes? Because I noticed that it's like, it would be way different compared to just building up your trance and bombing all the time, which seemed to just skip all the patterns and stuff. But like, how is like, do you play survival, or how is that different? What do you say?
That depends on how you play survival. At this point, I know the game well enough that if I wanted to play survival with bombs, I would basically score without getting the points. I know how to skip everything. As for survival, like without bombing and trancing, I've been Lunatic, no miss, no bomb, no trance. Wasn't very fun, wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, darn.
The patterns are kind of easy-ish.
Okay, so it's like...
The first 3 stages.
Okay.
I played Extra a ton.
I think you were gonna say casually, and then you broke out. I didn't get anything after that.
Yeah, I played a ton. I was scoring a different game before then. I was focusing on SA, and then eventually I moved over, decided to do a bit of TD Extra, and somehow managed to beat the record, and somehow managed to beat it by another 18 million points.
Yeah, nice. Very cool. All right, well, yeah, thanks for coming on and talking about your run. That was pretty cool. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
I think I am going to wrap up the episode here. But yeah, this has been really fun to check out 10 Desires. Just shouts again to Maribel Hearn as well. Do you want to come back in and say goodbye or hello or anything, or any final words from you guys about the game? Now would be the time.
Try Extra. It's...
God, you sound so desperate there.
Try Extra.
Yeah, and I would just say that main game might seem really silly with the resource abuse and stuff, but there's still quite a lot of interesting stuff going into it. I hope people can realize that.
Yeah, I think I got a good picture of the game, so I think you guys did a good job.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And yeah, thanks for coming on as well. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for 10 Desires. Check it out. Another great Touhou game, and I really enjoyed like the aesthetics and the music of this one as well, and then the artwork as I commented on. Just it looks like a nice game, and plus the Youmu sword slash attack, which is so fabulous. And oh yeah, and the thinking face emoji spirits. Don't forget them.
Oh, what?
So like those one spirits have like it looks like they have like an eyebrow raised. It reminded me of the thinking face emoji.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Here, if you have the chat open, I'll just put a thinking face emoji in there. Like that one, like with the eyebrow. That's my only thing for this one. All right. Well, anyway, yeah. Thanks, guys, and that'll be it for STG Weekly episode 153. Till next time, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good weekend. Rest of weekend.
Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Later, everyone.